Did you know that more than half a century ago, Baba Vanga chillingly described the collapse of specific cities in Venezuela? And the scariest part is that her predictions are not only coming true now, they are happening exactly in the order she foretold. Just 2 weeks ago, the first city on her list fell into total chaos. The international media barely reported it. But those who know the prophecies of the blind seer understand this is only the beginning of something far larger and more devastating. If you live in Venezuela or have loved ones there, what you're about to hear could save lives. Baba Vanga not only saw which cities would fall, but also when it would happen and what signs would appear before each collapse. The time for warnings is over. The prophecies are in motion. And if we don't pay attention now, far too many lives could be lost unnecessarily. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that you know the truth before it's too late. In 1963, Baba Vanga had what her biographers describe as the most disturbing vision of her entire life. For 3 consecutive nights, the Bulgarian prophetess awoke shouting city names in Spanish, specific dates, and describing scenes of destruction that left her trembling until dawn. "I see the land of Bolivar weeping tears of blood," she murmured with a broken voice. "Its most precious jewels will fall one by one, like pearls from a broken necklace. First the one that bears the name of the Flowered Valley, then the Guardian of the Mountains, then the Pearl of the Lake, and finally, the one that was the liberator's crown. For decades, no one could fully decipher these enigmatic words. The land of Bolivar, jewels falling like pearls. The Flowered Valley, it all seemed too symbolic. Until now, researchers have managed to identify exactly which cities Baba Vanga meant. And the pattern of collapse she predicted is unfolding with blood-chilling precision. The first city on the prophetic list was the one that bears the name of the Flowered Valley, Valencia. The third most important city in Venezuela, the country's industrial hub, home to more than 2 million people. And what is happening in Valencia right now? Just 15 days ago, Valencia's electrical system collapsed completely. It wasn't a normal blackout. Technicians described the failure as something never seen before, as if the entire electrical infrastructure had been struck simultaneously by an invisible force. But that's not all. The water supply was mysteriously contaminated. Hospitals are operating at the limit of their capacity. Grocery stores have closed because refrigeration systems aren't working. And strangest of all, communication systems fail intermittently, as if something were interfering with the signals. Exactly what Baba Vanga described as the signs of the first collapse, when the lights go out in the Flowered Valley and the water turns. "Bitter," prophesied the seer. "You will know the first pearl has fallen from the necklace, and then you will have 40 days before the second meets the same fate." 40 days from Valencia's electrical collapse takes us precisely to the first week of next month. And the second city on the prophetic list is the Guardian of the Mountains, San Cristobal, the capital of the state of Táchira, strategically located in the Venezuelan Andes, with more than 600,000 inhabitants. A city that, according to Baba Vanga, is destined to face an even more severe crisis than Valencia. The Guardian of the Mountains will tremble to its foundations, foretold the blind seer. The earth will open and swallow the roads. Those who can flee to the heights will be saved. Those who remain in the valley will witness the wrath of Mother Earth. Earthquakes in San Cristobal. Seismologists have noted a worrying increase in seismic activity in Venezuela's Andean region. Tremors that do not follow known geological patterns. Seismic movements that seem to be concentrating specifically around San Cristobal. But Baba Vanga did not predict only natural disasters. She also saw the social and economic consequences that would follow each urban collapse. When the Guardian falls, she prophesied, the roads to the north will close. Thousands will seek refuge beyond the borders, but they will find closed doors and cold hearts. Only those who remember the ancestral mountain paths will find salvation. This part of the prophecy is particularly unsettling because it describes what could be a new wave of mass migration from Venezuela toward Colombia, a humanitarian crisis that would affect not only Venezuelans, but the entire region. The third city on Baba Vanga's prophetic list is the Pearl of the Lake, Maracaibo. The second most populous city in Venezuela, capital of Zulia state, home to more than 2.5 million people. The heart of Venezuela's oil industry, a city that, according to the prophecy, will face the most devastating collapse of all. The Pearl of the Lake will sink in its own riches, Baba Vanga saw. Black gold will become a curse. The waters of the Great Lake will turn red like blood, and the sky will darken with smoke that does not come from fire. What does it mean that Maracaibo will sink in its own riches? Experts in prophecy believe it refers to a disaster related to the oil industry, an environmental catastrophe that would contaminate Lake Maracaibo and render the city uninhabitable. And the signs are already appearing. Reports censored by the government speak of multiple oil spills in Lake Maracaibo. Spills that are not accidental, but the result of total infrastructure deterioration, burst pipelines, refineries operating without maintenance, safety systems constantly failing. The smoke that does not come from fire could refer to the toxic gases released when oil breaks down in large quantities, gases that have begun to be detected at worrying levels around the lake. But when did Baba Vanga predict Maracaibo would fall? When the sun reaches its highest point in the year of the wounded eagle, the pearl of the lake will lose its luster forever, prophesied the seer, and then only the final trial will remain for the liberator's crown. The sun reaches its highest point at the June solstice. Many interpret the year of the wounded eagle as 2025, when tensions with the United States, symbolized by the eagle, will reach a critical point. This would mean Maracaibo has only a few months before facing its prophesied collapse, but the fourth and final city on the prophetic list is the one that most worries Baba Vanga scholars. The one that was the liberator's crown, Caracas, the capital of Venezuela, home to more than 5 million people, the country's political and economic heart. The city where Simón Bolívar dreamed of Gran Colombia and from which he led the independence struggles. What did Baba Vanga see about Caracas's fate? When the other three pearls have fallen, the seer prophesied with evident pain, the liberator's crown will face its darkest hour. But from that darkness a new light will be born. The people will remember who they truly are, and from the ashes of the old crown a new nation will arise. This part of the prophecy suggests that Caracas's collapse will not be permanent. On the contrary, it will be the catalyst for a complete transformation of the country. I see crowds in the streets, Baba Vanga continued in her visions of Caracas. They do not march with anger, but with hope. They do not shout with hatred, but with love. And a leader whom no one expects will rise from the shadows to guide the people toward the light. A new leader emerging from chaos. A peaceful revolution transforming Venezuela after the collapse of its main cities. But Baba Vanga also saw the dangers that would accompany this transformation. The dark powers will not easily allow the land of Bolívar to be reborn, the prophetess warned. They will send forces from the north and from the south to keep the people in darkness. Only if Venezuelans remain united will they be able to resist and fulfill their destiny. This warning about forces from the north and from the south has been interpreted as foreign intervention, countries seeking to exploit the chaos to impose their own interests in Venezuela. But is there hope? Is there any way to prevent or mitigate these prophesied collapses? Baba Vanga also offered specific guidance for Venezuelans who wish to prepare. The wise will seek refuge in the highlands, advised the seer. The prudent will store pure water and foods that do not spoil. The brave will form communities where they share resources and protect one another. And the spiritual will keep the flame of hope alive when all seems lost. This prophetic counsel suggests that survival will depend not only on material resources, but also on spiritual strength and communal solidarity. But why Venezuela? Why did Baba Vanga see that this country specifically would undergo such a radical transformation? The answer lies in another part of her prophecies about Latin America. The land of Bolivar must purify itself before it fulfills its true destiny, the seer explained. It is destined to be the heart of a new confederation that will unite all the nations of the South. But first it must rid itself of all that is false, all that is corrupt, all that does not serve the common good. According to this vision, the urban collapses are not punishments, but necessary parts of a purification process that will prepare Venezuela to lead a new era in Latin America. A new Gran Colombia? A South American confederation led by Venezuela? To many, this may sound impossible given the country's current state. But Baba Vanga never erred in her long-term predictions. When the four pearls have fallen and been reborn, the seer prophesied in her final visions of Venezuela, the land of Bolivar will become a beacon of hope for all the oppressed peoples of the world. Its example will inspire peaceful revolutions in many nations, and a new era of justice and prosperity will begin for all humanity. But for this to happen, Venezuelans must first overcome the collapses that loom ahead. Are you prepared if you live in one of these cities? Do you have an evacuation plan? Have you stored basic supplies? Do you have contacts in rural or mountainous areas where you could seek temporary refuge? These are not theoretical questions. According to Baba Vanga's prophetic timeline, the coming months will be decisive for millions of Venezuelans. Valencia has already begun its collapse. San Cristobal is showing the first seismic signs. Maracaibo faces a growing environmental crisis. And Caracas is preparing for a transformation that will change not only Venezuela, but all of South America. But remember, prophecies are not immutable sentences. They are warnings that allow people to prepare and, in some cases, mitigate the harm. Your awareness of these events, your preparation, your solidarity with other Venezuelans can make the difference between a chaotic collapse and an orderly transition toward a better future. What can you do specifically? First, share this information with Venezuelans who live in the cities mentioned, not to create panic, but to encourage preparedness. Second, if you have resources, consider helping organizations that work with refugees and internally displaced people in Venezuela. Third, stay informed about the events that are unfolding. The signs Baba Vanga described are appearing exactly as she foretold. And finally, keep hope alive. Because according to the Bulgarian seer, the collapse of these cities is not the end of Venezuela, but the painful and necessary process of rebirth for a nation destined to lead a new era of peace and prosperity in Latin America. The coming months will test the resilience, solidarity, and faith of the Venezuelan people. But if they manage to remain united and keep the flame of hope alive, they will emerge from this crisis stronger than ever. The prophecy is in motion. Events are accelerating. The moment of transformation has arrived. Will you be ready to be part of the new Venezuela that will rise from the ashes of the old? Or will you allow fear and despair to keep you from seeing the light at the end of the tunnel that Baba Vanga glimpsed in her visions? The future of Venezuela is in the hands of Venezuelans themselves, and every decision you make in the coming weeks could determine whether you are part of the solution or part of the problem. Baba Vanga saw the collapse, but she also saw the rebirth. She saw the pain, but she also saw the hope. She saw the destruction, but she also saw the building of something better. Which of these visions becomes reality depends on you and on millions of Venezuelans who, at this critical moment in history, have the opportunity to write a new chapter for their nation. The time of prophecies has arrived. The time to act is now. If this video moved you, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share it with someone who also needs to know this truth.